Welcome to Cigar City Radio, episode number 53. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and making the magic happen, Mr. Jason Solanas.
Hey, Randy, what's that kind of fence that jailbreakers have to jump over when they're trying to escape?
I don't know, like an electric fence?
No, there's a name for it, for the kind of wire it is.
Oh, barbed wire.
Barbed wire. Have you ever had anything barb-shaped like
God damn
like
it.
Maybe
Why?
Maybe a toilet scrubber?
Why do you go there? Why do you go right there? Hey, you, Cigar City Radio listener. If you're listening to this show and you like it, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Cigar City Radio. Also, please subscribe to our mailing list to get music, info, and news and everything sent right to your inbox. Algorithms be damned. Just go to cigarcitymanagement.com/subscribe. You'll find the link there where you can put in your email address. We'll send you cool stuff, but we won't blow up your inbox, we promise. It's all very tastefully done. Like our show, right? Our show is very tastefully done.
This episode was recorded at Dysfunctional Grace, the only shop in Ybor City where death and dysfunction dance in a graceful ballet of seppiness. You can find all sorts of unique art and one-of-a-kind products at Dysfunctional Grace, located at 1903 East 7th Avenue in Ybor City. Follow them at facebook.com/dysfunctionalgrace.
Our guest on this episode is Toxic Holocaust, an extreme metal band from Portland, Oregon. Toxic Holocaust is primarily the vehicle of one man, Joel Grind, and that's who we sat down with to talk about his discography and what's coming next for the band. You can find tour dates and links to all their music at toxicholocaust.com. So here it is, episode 53.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of practice with the touring thing too. I've been doing a lot of studio stuff, so it's just kind of like getting back in the swing. But now I feel like I could keep going, and now awesome. It's ending.
Yeah, right.
The first week was a little rough.
Just getting back into the groove.
Yeah, and my sinuses were all acting up and going through the Midwest and stuff like that. So.
Oh, man. But you're from Portland, right?
From Portland.
See, now that's interesting to me because we actually manage a band out of Portland, but they're cool. Like psychedelic rock, Jackson Boone and the Ocean Ghosts. I don't know. Shameless plug. Yeah, probably
cool.
Not. But they're,
psychedelic music,
they play at like Mississippi Studios and, those kind of venues down in Portland. And that's kind of the scene that I'm familiar with. Gotcha. There is like the psychedelic indie rock stuff.
There's a lot of like fans of that kind of stuff there. Yeah, that's for sure.
So what's the metal scene like in Portland?
It's awesome. I mean, it's always been kind of more of like a punk town, to be honest with you. Like there's a lot more like crust punk. Got this kind of I don't know what you would call it. I guess more like a DIY kind of thing going on. But the music scene in general is really good. The problem is there's not a lot of venues right now. There's like a lot of venues that went away that never really got replaced. So now it's kind of hard to find places to play for certain size bands. Like the smaller bands kind of have a harder time finding places to play. So
yeah, man, that sucks. That same kind of thing is happening in our city too, where you have like the really small, I shouldn't say really small, but like the 150 to 300 venues. Like that seems to be the capacity that's like hard for places to stay open,
Same with Portland.
Yeah, we just had there's a venue. Well, I guess it didn't close; it moved. There's a venue down the street here, New World Brewery.
Well, it hasn't moved yet. Yeah. So it's closed.
It's closed currently. Yeah, and they they kind of filled that niche for like the smaller touring bands, But maybe we'll see some other venues pop up.
This area has a lot of Crowbar is still around, right?
Crowbars, right.
That place is really
Crowbar, Orpheum, Ritz.
Yeah,
a lot of places. Pretty quality shows.
Yeah, but Orpheum, where you're playing at tonight, has actually kind of become like the metal place.
The spot.
Cool. There's always really cool kick-ass
sounds great in there.
Yeah.
Metal and Rap Riots.
Yeah, that's right. What was the triple extension
or whatever?
Yeah, some rapper caused a riot there a couple weeks ago.
He didn't cause it. His fans showed up in mass, and they weren't expecting that.
That's right.
And there was a line around the block, like nine people deep. And when they found out that they couldn't all fit in, they just started breaking shit and running down the street.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully the same thing doesn't happen tonight. I don't think
I'm
so.
sure it probably won't.
It's amazing.
Sometimes I wish it would happen. It's not going to happen.
Well, it's amazing how like the metal fans and like the hardcore fans are pretty chill people, you know? Like,
It's all the weed, man. That's what it is.
so you telling me the rappers don't have weed?
That's true. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, right. But
Unless you're Stitches or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Unless you're specifically
Then you're on
one of
some
the-
other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well be angry if you're on lean.
Exactly.
So last album was Chemistry of Consciousness, right? But that was 2013. So
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a minute. So you just said you've been in the studio a while. What are you working on now?
Well, I basically I started my own business, so I started a recording studio. So a
Right
lot
on.
of that time in between the two records is sort of me getting my own business up and running, and it was really hard at first for me to juggle doing the band and that. Like I'm kind of figuring out how to do both, and
Yeah.
now I'm kind of learning the process of juggling two things. So
Yeah.
the new record's almost done. Actually, it's I got some vocals to do left, and then mix it. So
Awesome.
after that, hopefully a label picks it up and it comes out.
Yeah, that's always the goal, right? Yeah. But see, and that's funny because when people talk about Toxic Holocaust and they mention you as kind of a one man band, so I think of like when I think of that, I think of like this dude like in his room, like playing like recording stuff in his bedroom.
Yeah.
But like you actually
First two records were actually recorded in my bedroom.
like did you use like the closet
Like
as a vocal booth and
Yeah,
stuff?
and like drums like upstairs, like
Yeah.
in the bedroom, like legitimately in a bedroom, like first records, me playing everything.
That's super awesome.
And it's weird to see it like how much further it's came now, but it was like it literally just started like that, like you would like expect.
Gives a
Pretty
lot,
much.
Yeah.
gives a lot more hope to the local DIY scene or any DIY scene, honestly.
That's it. Where I grew up, I didn't really have anybody to like that were really into metal and stuff like that. So it's like, well, if I want to do a record, I guess I got to figure out how to play everything and record it. So that's kind of where it started.
Yeah. And you obviously you did. You figured out how to record it and do it.
Trial and
So-
error.
Yeah. I can't even imagine how hard it would be to put together a metal album by yourself. Like it'd be hard enough to do like an acoustic singer-songwriter thing, but you throw in, extreme metal and mixing in like punk and thrash, and it's like
I mean, I made a lot of mistakes too over the years, like while recording that stuff, and like things I listen back to now, I'm like kind of like it's cringy to me. Like I wish I would have did this different, but I think everybody's like that with anything they do. You kind of look back and you get better, and then you look back at your other stuff and you're like, I would have did this different, but
Yeah.
at the time, that's kind of how. how
you
I did it.
That's how you had to do it, right? That's one of our favorite phrases, DIY by necessity.
Yeah.
It's like what else are you gonna do?
Absolutely, 100%.
That or nothing.
So, anything you can tell us about the new album? Do you got a title, anything, or are we just
Not-
keeping it up in the air? For
Not
now?
yet. Kind of. Some of the lyrics are still being. Usually I come up with a title after a lot of the lyrics are written because it kind of gets based around that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's going to be. I mean, it's slightly different than the last record in the fact that I feel like I took that kind of like more metal punk sound, like as far as I could, like the more, the minute and a half long,
Yeah.
2 minute long song kind of thing. Like I pretty much did the record I wanted to do in the last one. So this time around, I kind of wanted to do something a little different because I don't think I could probably mimic what I did on the last one, but it either wouldn't be as good or it would just be a complete,
Yeah.
part two of that
Yeah.
record, which kind of is boring too. So
Yeah, that's kind of the catch.
So it's a
22,
little different, but-
right? Because you want to change and you want to evolve. You also don't want to like alienate people or
true.
lose your older fans.
it's true. Yeah,
So it's hard to find that like middle ground where you can somehow please everybody.
Exactly.
but you really can't.
Yeah, and please yourself too.
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's the other thing. It's like you can't really, especially being a musician and stuff. You don't want to necessarily make yourself unhappy just to please other people either, because that's kind of doing it for the wrong reasons too. So it's kind of like walking a tightrope of kind of just following a path and hopefully people dig it.
How's the response been to this tours?
Been awesome. It's been really good, especially the past few tours. We were kind of either like second to last or headlining. So this one is kind of we're like earlier in the set, so it's kind of fun to go back. We're like playing a shorter set than we normally do, and it's kind of just it's basically all just all killer, no filler. Just like we don't, we can. It's funny though, in a half an hour long set, we can still do like 12, 13 songs. So the songs are so short, so
right.
still get to hear a lot of songs. But
Yeah. but you can play all the hits.
A lot of the things that people know.
Yeah. So one of the things I always loved about Toxic Holocaust is the logo. Well, did you do that?
I didn't. I had a friend named Zach that lives in San Diego that did that.
Okay.
And yeah, it's funny. It's like one of those logos. A lot of people that don't know, you can tell by seeing it what it is, but you don't necessarily read the letters. Like you just know it by like a visual thing.
Exactly.
But the people that have never heard the band like don't know what it says. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, metal bands are notorious for that. Like I don't even know what shirt
Yeah.
you're wearing now right now. But it's like that's the thing is like it's always hard to read some of those metal names. But like the Toxic Holocaust logo just looks so like visually appealing, and it looks like it's got like a middle finger in the middle.
Totally,
I'm sure that was intentional.
It's funny too. It's like I like it because it's very symmetrical. Which I like logos that are kind of like that.
Good for people with OCD.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. So we'll have a new record hopefully next year.
Hopefully early next year is what I'm hoping.
Going more in a different direction.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's not going to be such a curveball that doesn't sound like the same band. Like some bands do that.
Yeah.
Some bands pull that off really well too. Every record, like Melvins, for instance, every record sounds different, but it always sounds like the Melvins somehow. But and their fans love that, But it'll still sound like Toxic. It just will be. The songs are going to be a little bit longer and a little bit more not complex, but a little bit more like elaborate in the arrangement kind of realm, if that makes sense. Like instead of just like a verse, chorus, and then the song's over. Like it'll be like something in the middle there, and then that kind of thing. So just a little different, but
less of a grindy thing.
Yeah.
Which I mean, is your name really Joel Grind?
No, but
because I'm like that's too perfect of a name.
It's not.
But you don't have to reveal the real name. Cool. We'll just we can even edit that out if you want.
No. I mean, I think a lot of people know that it's not.
Yeah, I mean, but that would be how amazing would that be if you were?
Yeah, it's funny. It's actually that name actually came from not from like the usual, like you would suspect to be like from like grindcore or something like that or whatever. But it actually came from just when I was like a teenager. Like my friends and I used to skateboard, and it would just like came up with like it was more of like a tongue in cheek thing. Like what would 80s skaters be named? Like that kind of dumb shit. But just kind of stuck. And
I was thinking Boogie Nights, man.
That's
I was going all Boogie Nights.
It's like my porno name, man.
Yeah, it could be. It works both ways.
It could be all of your names.
Yeah.
Do you think that? So you were a skater growing up?
I mean, I skateboarded. I was into skateboarding.
You weren't a skater.
No, not necessarily, but I definitely was into skateboarding.
Yeah. Do you think that's where like kind of maybe some of the punk side of your music comes from?
I mean, I remember the first time I ever heard the Misfits. Actually, was listening. I was watching I rented a Tony Hawk. It was like a skate competition video from like 1980 whatever, and listening to Walk Among Us by the Misfits, and I was like curious what that was, and looked in the credits, and it said what it was. So
it's amazing how many bands people discovered through skateboard videos,
absolutely.
And like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater video games. Like,
that's
where I heard so many
absolutely.
bands like CKY. I heard about them through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, stuff like that. But that's crazy. So
absolutely.
So Connor, you've been quiet over here.
Oh yeah.
I thought you had these deep questions that you had prepared.
I'm just along for the ride. Just enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Do you have any Toxic Holocaust specific questions for Joel?
I'm just curious, like where do you try to find the balance between kind of punk and thrash? Like where do you decide which way it's going to go more towards? What was the defining factor?
I sort of always, I think a lot of it was subconscious, but now that I look back, like, I think a lot of it was, I liked the catchiness of punk and like the shorter songs and this, like the simplistic arrangements and stuff of punk, and seeing that kind of stuff live always like really translated really well because people could sing along and know the songs right off the bat. But I always was attracted to like, the riffing of thrash metal, like the fast palm eating, all that kind of stuff. So I've always kind of just blended it in that way, where it's more like a punk. It's like a punk aesthetic because of the DIY aspect, and also because of the the arrangements and stuff like that of the songs.
You just add the kind of aggressiveness
and the vocals too.
Thrash.
More like thrashy kind of stuff. So.
Any final words for the Cigar City Radio listeners?
Just thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anything
really
else you want to say about Tampa? You just said that you ate at Stone Soup Company, right?
Yeah, it was really good. I had a panini. Recommend the panini over there.
That was good.
Weird word to say.
You know what I'm finding is most interesting about all the metalheads we're talking to
What's that?
is that when I was growing up and I didn't know any metalheads before I got into a metal band, I figured that all of them were like
Dicks.
demonic and assholes.
Yeah.
And it's like you said with Ben in the first episode we did with him. It's the most inclusive crowd of people I've ever seen. I've never talked to a metalhead that had just a shit attitude right out of the gate.
Yeah. They're really chill, really cool people. I think Joel says in this interview, it must be all the weed. So, yeah.
So if you're curious about a metal concert, you should definitely check it out because it's much better than you think it'll be.